You got a target pick, and we are indeed seeing a very difficult matchup here. This doesn't seem like a target pick to me. It seems more like a neutral pick. We're seeing Order of the Dragon for Kiljardi up against DeMu's English on Hill and Dale. English being notorious for doing this 2DC, Abbey of Kings, White Tower style, which is very economic focused. The Order of the Dragon seems to be performing insanely well in the late game.
Yes, absolutely. Curious pick here by Kiljardi, I think. I mean, English, we expect it from them, right? Especially on a map like Hillendale. English, a very oppressive pick on this map, as we have seen from the changes to Hillendale many, many months ago at this point, where you no longer start with extra stone or gold on your initial safe hill, right? All of it on the center of the map. In a lot of games, we have seen that control over this open plain, Dale, on Hill and Dale here, where all the additional gold is on the map, becomes very important, and few civilizations are better than that than English, as they're able to extend their main military bonus in the form of the network of castles and later citadels with the upgrade in Castle Age. They are they are fantastic at sort of securing the map, not only with vision, but also with this bonus that we talked about, and just holding a steadfast defense and grip on the map and on the opponent's civilization here. But curious pick by Kiljardi here. He has access to the China, which is also a very notable, strong civilization on this map here, but instead he opts for Order of the Dragon. What do you think of this, Voldemar?
I think we are looking at a comfort pick out of Kiljardi. He's stuck with Chinese, and I know Chinese is not one of his best civilizations. He's going to go for the Order of the Dragon simply because they perform pretty okay on a map like this with the deer spawn on Hill and Dale here. It's going to be quite good for him to do a fast castle should his opponent decide to do something like 2DC. That will give him enough time to get the relics, to get going with Gilded Knights, and then he can secure the map. Furthermore, extending into the Imperial Age with the Swabia, he will regain the economic advantage that he would be missing in the mid game. So it's about skipping that part of the game. That's going to be the key here.
Yes, absolutely, and we're just loading into the game here as we have Liquid DeMu on the English in the color purple, spawning on the north side of the map, and on the other side, in the south side, we do have Kiljardi on the Order of the Dragon in the color orange. We're just loading in here, and we see a farm opening from Kiljardi on the Order of the Dragon, and this is something we have seen quite often from this civilization before. Of course, a lot of value to be gained from Order of the Dragon with the farms, having access to the Dragon Villager, which of course have significantly improved gathering rate, speed and carry capacity compared to standard civilizations. For those unfamiliar, of course, Order of the Dragon is quite a unique civilization in their design due to them having access to highly powerful elite unit versions compared to regular units, which cost double the population, double the resources, but in most cases also have double the stat points in terms of health, damage and power as well.
Absolutely, and that is also where a lot of people go wrong with the Order of the Dragon. You can end up investing an awful lot of resources into units that you might not need, and that can delay you more so than if you did it with a standard civilization with the original unit costs and values. We are looking at an Abbey of Kings opening here from DeMu straight onto the stones. We are going to see that second TC play that we expected. I would argue this is probably also the best thing that he could do here up against the Order of the Dragon. Now look at this. Kiljardi very, very creative with the Aachen Chapel placement here. He's going to get both berries, his early farm, the sheep, the deer, and the gold under his influence here. And this will give him all of the leverage he needs to go to Castle Age.
Beautiful Aachen Chapel here placement by Kiljardi indeed. Normally we see players prioritize that wood line, which he could have potentially opted for in this game with the berries close by as well, but no, instead he recognized the importance of food, of the starting food here on this map, as quite uniquely for Hill and Dale compared to other maps, you start with your initial deer pack very, very close within an arm's reach of your town center here. So Kiljardi not missing a beat, getting those deer nice and close before DeMu can kill them and spread them out, as he would probably love to do. And like you mentioned at the beginning of this game, Voldemar, just before, what we are likely to see here from Kiljardi is most likely a very fast Castle Age, almost naked most likely, into taking as many relics as he can possibly get, and then Swabia the Palace of Swabia Imperial Age up, which is of course discounted when going for that landmark in order to catch up on his villager deficit, gaining a tech lead and looking to play the long game against DeMu's English here.
Myriad, I would love to point you towards the map here. We are looking at a generation that I would say is so weird. We have all the wood spawning towards Kiljardi, and all of the gold is spawning towards DeMu. Now, if Kiljardi wants to get out of his base, it seems that he's going to be struggling a little bit with movement here, and most of his food as well is also very lined up here in the bottom. That means that should he end up in a situation where a little bit of feudal pressure ends up containing him in his base and he gets walled in, he has no way of getting out.
Astute observation without a doubt, Voldemort. This is a very unique and bizarre generation on Hillendale. I must say, I agree with you here. We notice a very significant shift of the gold towards DeMu's side of the map, but in turn, the wood is instead shifted towards Kiljardi's side of the map with many small wood lines just angling towards his base, giving him somewhat of a natural wall here instead. This will be quite significant, I think, as the game goes on, and most commonly what we see in this matchup here with Holy Roman Empire as well is when they go for these kind of imp rushes is that if they do opt for them, a strong castlage falling from the opponent, keeping them pinned in their base can prove to be problematic to deal with, and especially on a map like Hillendale, can be a problem. We see king harassment from Liquid DeMu going onto the gold, but a horseman opening here from Kiljardi as Order of the Dragon. A single gilded horseman here, which can actually fight the king fairly effectively. Of course, remember, as we mentioned, double the stats on this horseman compared to a regular one as he looks to push away the king there. And, you know, this horseman makes sense, right? He just wants to look to see if he can find any kind of idle time or damage onto Liquid DeMu's English here. He's looking to see if he can just maybe do some damage, maybe prevent a villager from walling in the relics that Kiljardi will look to access without a doubt. As we can see the macro starting to shift towards castlage here for him.
I absolutely love this Gilded Horseman play. The Horseman, we often talk about the Gilded Horseman for the Order of the Dragon as being equivalent to the Knights, but the funny thing is they cost wood and food, and this is exactly what Kiljardi is able to produce a little bit faster than most resources. He's looking at that Gilded Horseman, and that Gilded Horseman can contest that King opening because he's faster, but he has the punch of a Knight.
Well said indeed, and we just see here the trading out happening. The Gilded Horseman, in fact, actually wins 1v1 against the Knight if left to their own, against the King if left to their own devices. But of course, DeMu is not likely to allow that, able to use not only the King's passive healing aura, but also the boosted healing aura of the Abbey of Kings, which is its abode, in order to heal back up and then go back in for the skirmish. But a second Gilded Horseman now out for Kiljardi does delay his castlage a little bit, but he clearly believes there is some value to be found here, and it makes sense, right? Not only can you prevent a villager walling in the relics, which is definitely a significant detail that Kiljardi wants to prevent if possible, but you can also keep an eye on this English king and stop him from making your life more difficult or picking off prelates after you reach the castlage.
We always talk about how many resources are you sinking into units and how much value you're getting out of the additional units that you are producing. The gilded units obviously cost twice as much, but it doesn't seem to have delayed Kiljardi too much here. I like the second horseman play. I didn't initially because we're looking at just the effect of keeping the king away from the relics, right? We are now also seeing the harassed coming through from the second gilded horseman, and this means that now DeMu is now forced to play a little bit more defensive. We see walls coming up, and whilst he's doing that, delaying himself, as we can see, going for more upgrades as well. He might get that economic advantage later, but Kiljardi will get the relics, and if he gets the relics, he can play straight for Imperial, and then he has the victory condition.
Yes, and the relics will be one of the very significant determining factors in deciding this game here between DeMu and Kiljardi. Match point in this set for these players in the winner's final. The winner will of course go on to the grand finals, whereas the loser will go on to the loser's bracket final to face Boltune in another best of 5 series. But we see just a little exchanges between these horsemen and the king. Kiljardi does finally reach the castlage. Straight away a gilded knight queued up at the stable for him. Very, very powerful and hugely expensive unit that the Order of the Dragon has access to. Stat-wise, one of the strongest and bulkiest units in the game, but of course also one of the most expensive here. Nearly the same price as a town center. And also, first prelate out from the Regnitz Cathedral, heading towards the center. Relic there to be picked up.
We do see some walling as well on the bottom side. Kiljardi is fully aware of the situation that he's in currently. With a spawn that's not exactly in favor of him, he looks to now try to spend this sort of downtime where we are fighting King, Gilded Horsemen, to try to secure the map with his villagers instead. So instead of producing a lot of units, instead he uses the villagers to secure the map. And that is a very, very clever way of playing this early mid-game for the Order of the Dragon.
Yes, for sure. First Relic has been picked up by the Prelate here, and it will be quite significant to see how many relics Kiljardi is able to secure here. One detail I do worry about for him here on the Order of the Dragon is what I think we will see this game develop into is as Kiljardi looks to prioritize the Palace of Swabia, and we already see the macro going for it, only the single Gilded Knight being made, no more in queue for him besides Prelates, of course, to secure those relics. As he looks to prioritize that Swabia, it will set him somewhat behind in terms of tempo, right? He'll be forced to mount a defense, most likely using bombard towers to prevent Liquid DeMu's own knights from harassing him too significantly, as they are queued up now from the White Tower Castle Age landmark. And what we will see this game develop into, I believe, is a steadfast hold from Kiljardi on the Order of the Dragon, and a very scary siege from DeMu on the English as he looks to take the map for himself later on, I would believe.
Absolutely. Now, if you're not familiar with the Order of the Dragon, I know you are, Myriad, but we're looking at these eco numbers in the top, 30 to 52. Granted, DeMu has been in 2GC for a while. He's now losing out on the Relic play. I'm sure that he will be able to, with that top right relic, to secure at least one, but I do see something move on towards it. It might be a prelate, actually. If he gets that fifth relic, I think this is massively in favor of Kiljardi. He picks it up, he's able to contest the mid, and DeMu doesn't even see it. There is a unit moving out towards the relic. It's going to be very... Ooh, it's the monk. That means that Kiljardi will most likely be able to sneak this relic away, get to Imperial. You can see he's macroing towards it, able to click up in the next 15 seconds, 20 seconds. And then we have skipped that castle age like we talked about. And the skipping of the castle age allows him to actually stay on par with the English, not losing out massively in the mid-game.
Hugely significant detail here with the relics for Kiljardi. 2 inside of his base secured up already. All 3 of the rest on the map on the way towards his base as well. But the Prelate does get scouted out by the Knight squad of DeMu as he is taken out and the relic is dropped towards the center of the map. So it will be 3 guaranteed here for Kiljardi. Maybe a 4th and potentially a 5th, but quite unlikely in this position as more and more Knights are being made for DeMu. 7 out now in combination with the King and the Scout. A war party that's going to look now towards Kiljardi's base, knowing that what is about to come.
The 5th relic that we just talked about did get picked up by DeMu, and that means that Kiljardi will stay on 4. This is still a very, very strong position to be in. I'd much prefer to be in the seat of the Order of the Dragon right now, because right now we can see Palace of Swabia going up. Arguably going to be the best play that he could go for here, as he will regain that economic advantage. Prelates are out here, they're healing the Gilded Knights. Gilded Knights trying to hold up against these English Knights. It's going to be difficult because DeMu has really built a lot very quickly here as he entered into the Castle Age, possibly made use of the White Tower, increased production. Now he's able to idle out a lot of Kiljardi's economy. This is a little bit awkward for Kiljardi, not something that he expected, possibly putting too much faith into that frontal wall there, and now only having 2 Gilded Knights and a Horseman to defend here.
A slight misplay here from Kiljardi, in my opinion, honestly, not only caught with the wall being built there, but also no stone whatsoever in the bank of Kiljardi. We know that whenever the Holy Roman Empire or the Order of the Dragon look to go for these Palace of Swabia imp rushes, that stone gathering for those fortified towers, either with Springald boosted relics or bombard towers, more preferably, are absolutely crucial in holding any kind of castle age aggression from the opponent. But so far, the stone of Kiljardi is as far forward as it can possibly be, beyond his stable and the Regni's Cathedral, and no way to secure it at this point in time. I'm actually a bit worried for Kiljardi's position here. I believe he had misread the situation slightly.
He might have misread the situation slightly, but he's adapting well enough here to be able to deal with it. He's got 3 relics in the Regnets, but he's got another one in the tower, and the relics, putting them inside of the tower as the Order of the Dragon, provides an immense damage buff. Now, upgrading it with a bombard cannon as well is going to be enough to one-shot something like crossbows and stuff, and possibly also two-shot, if I'm not mistaken, these knights here. So with these gilded knights from him, don't underestimate their power, because they will be able to contest this with the aid of the bombard tower.
Most notably as well, we do see inspired warriors here on the way for Kiljardi and Order of the Dragon, and this is a combo that DeMu himself has actually done in the past that I have seen, where with these elite gilded knights on Kiljardi's side, boosted by the holy inspiration of the Order of the Dragon prelates, they can mount an incredibly powerful military force.
I like this position from DeMu as well, because now, as we can see, even though he's doing a lot of damage here, he's getting a lot of villager kills. It's not so good for Kiljardi. Not the biggest deal, though. He has the Swabia able to produce a lot again. He doesn't want to take too much damage here, because what's happening behind all this is, in the middle of the map, DeMu is now trying to take control of the gold. He's got the farm set up, he's got the gold here, and that means that he's comfortably heading into the late game. We can see his macro is heavy on the food, less so on the wood, and now starting to gather more gold with that mid 8k secure, and that is actually his win condition here. If he can secure the map and Kiljardi runs out of gold and maybe even loses too much eco here, DeMu is going to find a very comfortable way to play the late game.
Yes, absolutely. Kiljardi's position is not to be underestimated here. With access to 4 relics inside of his base, boosted by the Regni's Cathedral, which doubles the gold income from these relics, he would have over 600 gold in terms of passive income from the relics, which is an immense amount. In terms of villages, that's a total value of at least 10, if not more, depending on upgrades. And we just see here, although quite a bit of damage has been dealt to Kiljardi's economy, the reality is, due to the Palace of Swabia, not only with the boosted production speed on those dragon villages, but also the cheaper cost of them, he doesn't care too much. But now, Bergen Palace on the way for DeMu, directly onto his frontal large gold vein in the entrance to his base. Once again, these knights, growing in number, keep charging and poking towards Kiljardi's Order's base.
We see crossbows coming out from Kiljardi, and this is the key to getting these knights taken down. The crossbows from the Order of the Dragon are incredibly powerful with a high fire rate and high damage. Hand cannoneers now also being added. Should he get the mass up and running, which I think he will easily be able to with this relic count, he will now be able to contest these knights, fighting in between the buildings and using the Gilded Knights as front lines. This is absolutely integral in the defense and trying to get back into this game. He's taken 14 villager losses, too much, and he needs to be very comfy again. He has to secure his base, then get out on the map, but unfortunately DeMu is already on the gold.
Yes, and gold access is something that Kiljardi is probably going to struggle with in the coming minutes here, right? I mean, over 600 gold in terms of passive income is a fantastic boost to have, but the reality is the longer this game goes on, more and more gold will be needed, especially as many upgrades are necessary for Kiljardi and DeMu, of course, as the game progresses. Imp is in for DeMu now, Enclosures almost finished at this stage. Elite upgrade for his English Knights also on the way, almost halfway through now, and we see heavy gold mining from DeMu in the center of the map under the Berkshire, whereas Kiljardi will need to think carefully of how to approach the map in order to secure his own gold. But as we spoke about earlier, due to the generation of the map in this spot, all of the large gold veins that spawn on the Dale, on Hill and Dale in this generation in particular, are towards Liquid DeMu's base.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate situation, and I'm sure that should he not get that gold, it's going to be one of the most tough situations to find yourself in. I like the relic play. I like that he has the 4 relics. It's going to keep him going for a while, but he has to think about how is he spending that gold. If this ends up being a really long game, we will see probably Siege, and we will see these raids being especially important when it comes to playing the map here. mobility again, playing an absolutely crucial role. These units here, they're not only mobile, they're also the highest quality cavalry unit that DeMu can produce at this stage. He has the King healing them up, and he has the Knights fully upgraded, granting them now also a university upgrade with the university tech, giving them an extra 20% HP as well on top of it. Taking a fight before the university upgrade comes through, but he knows that before the mask goes up for Kiljardi, this is going to be the most important fight he can't take. He cannot wait anymore, and taking these Knights down, these hand cannoneers, might actually be the game here. He has so high quality units, these will not take enough towers from these bomber towers, not enough damage from these bomber towers, and now the whole economy for Kiljardi is idle.
Huge raid in here by DeMu, going directly inside with 20 elite knights on his side, as well as the Imperial Age King. At this point, we just see villagers running around, scrambling, looking for safety in these towers, as well as the town center and palace of Swabia. Very few military units left here for DeMu, for Kiljardi, excuse me, on the Order of the Dragon. And we just see the struggle. Although 4 relics is an immense amount of gold passively, the reality is at this stage it won't quite be enough. Counter raid behind in DeMu's base as well. Sacred Site captured in the center. Many full gilded knights here on the side of DeMu, inside of his farm economy. They will be dealt with eventually. The White Tower helping to protect that, but still knights running rampant inside of Kiljardi's base. But thanks to the bombard towers and the streaming of gilded hand cannoneers as well as crossbows, they will be cleaned up eventually, but heavy delays on Kiljardi's side.
It's funny how static defenses play such a crucial role in this match. Both the White Tower and the Bombard Towers with the Relics coming in and dealing with these raids. And this is a really important note because you might be out of units, and they both are. Now you have these defenses that are strong enough to deal with those raids. And now we have a weird situation where none of them actually have enough army to really do anything. It's going to be rebuilding, and the one that has the most amount of resources available to them will obviously be able to rebuild faster.
Absolutely. The main point here for Kiljardi in this situation right now is he was able to stabilize, right? He is behind in villages in terms of income, but of course it's important to remember that these are dragon villages that we are talking about, so the actual count is closer than we believe, than it appears on paper initially. But with the Swabia, he'll be able to catch up relatively quickly, as well as the speed. But behind this, of course, we notice a significant upgrade lead for DeMu on the English here. Level 3 horticulture in now, as well as the second double broadaxe, and more upgrades on the way now as well, and a massive switch into men-at-arms as well. The elite upgrade in as well as elite army tactics, military academy on the way as well, hand cannoneers too, as well as spears. Big units being massed here by DeMu behind this Kiljardi. More and more knights being made, which I must say I'm not a fan of. They are extremely expensive at this stage in time, and with no access to an actual gold vein at this point in time, they are quite a drain on his bank of gold that he needs desperately at this point. But also archers, dragon gilded archers being added as well, with the upgrades dragon armor scale being added, which will grant them an additional +2 ranged armor, or +3 I believe, I'm not quite sure.
I think it's 3.
3, eh? That's a lot. So because of that, they'll be able to sustain a lot of range damage, which other archers normally can't. But the main thing here, he needs to find a way to secure a gold vein. Kiljardi does, because the longer this goes, especially combined with the gold access that DeMu has access to and enclosures, we just see the army numbers here favoring DeMu significantly, and the same 600 income per minute that Kiljardi has access to for a while now from the 4 relics. The truth is, the longer this goes, it will just not be enough.
It's curious to me how Kiljardi has now found himself in a position where he's still able to push his opponent around, but the problem is DeMu has been with a full non-idle economy for so very long that he's now gotten pretty much every single economy upgrade. He's only now taken into the blacksmith upgrades, but in the same time he's just able to have so many resources to spend. So even if he should take a bad fight here, losing all these units, within a minute he will have the same amount again, simply because his position is so comfortable. He has the gold, he has the full farm setup, English farms, tier 3 horticulture with the enclosures. We're looking at a big fight here, coming in with the hand cannons and the spears, and the knights are pushing in. Gonna be able to idle Kiljardi's eco once again, and the bombard towers are gonna have to work overtime to deal with this. Granted, there's only one emergency repair per bombard tower, and they are sharing that cooldown. Therefore, they will probably go down. The front one does here. On the other side, though, we see counter raids gonna be crucial here. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. Now with the attack coming in from DeMu, he's full flooding the base of Kiljardi, and the bombard cannons are starting to take down the buildings.
A significant saving grace here for Kiljardi will be those bombard towers that he has set up all the way around his base. And although siege is on the way for DeMu, it is not quite in position yet, but now we see the bombard starting to attack that Regnius Cathedral. 3 relics inside of that. Now, Kiljardi does have access to emergency repairs to be able to restore the health of that Regnius Cathedral, which will be crucial, but the reality is that there's so many units here for DeMu inside of Kiljardi's base. Very few units for Kiljardi on the other side. I'm not sure he's actually going to be able to hold this, as we can see just in the score difference, double now for DeMu, as the second bombard is going to be on the way soon. And I believe that his time is over as Liquid DeMu takes the W in this set for a 3-2 victory, and will move on to the grand finals, whereas Kiljardi now makes his way to the losers final against Baltu.
It's an absolutely breathtaking game here in the end. It went exactly the way that DeMu wanted it to, and Kiljardi unfortunately was not able to execute this skipping of the Castle Age into the Imperial without taking enough damage. And unfortunately, the layout and so on caused him to have a little bit of an issue here.